G'day! So I wanted to make a progress video on the massive desert project I've been working on. It's not quite finished, but the reason I wanted to do a progress video is for two reasons. The first being because, like all things in Satisfactory, it's taking way longer than I first thought, and it's more involved. And the other reason is because I've got a couple of friends that have started playing and I'm over in their world helping them get started and show them the basics and stuff. But yeah, so I'm just here for location wise. Main base over there, ages away on the other side of the map. That's the heatsink factory, which is picking up into the train, coming around here like before. And where I'm standing now is where I need to build somewhere around here, where there's lots of oil nodes. A massive oil factory, which is going to use 1260 oil to make 840 rubber. And that's going to take it over to my big desert project, which is over here, which is starting to take shape and it's starting to look pretty good actually. So everything that I'm showing you today is still just one part of the turbo motor project. So the heatsink factory back there, the rubber factory that's going to be here, and all these four big factories in the desert is all to send items back to my main base to run 6 manufacturers making turbo motors on the alternate recipe. So it's a lot of work, and I still need to build a big AI limiter factory somewhere else. So here we have the desert project. It's looking pretty good. I can't take full credit for this again. One of my friends has given me quite a bit of help to build this. But yeah, so these 4 buildings are 4 individual factories producing items. The factory on the left here does 30 crystal oscillators per minute. I'm just going to hop out here. So this factory here is doing 30 crystal oscillators per minute, and this factory over here is doing 40 motors and 40 stators per minute. The factory at the rear is going to be the computer factory, doing 30 computers per minute, and which I haven't done yet. And this closest factory is going to be the radio control unit factory. We'll just go and have a look at the setup. You might get an idea of why it takes me so long to do it. So the design turned out pretty well in how I wanted it. I wanted these 4 kind of floating factories being held up by kind of like a big claw structure in the middle holding these factories up. And the other thing which I'll go through is the truck setup. So the truck setup was quite extensive. I'm using 6 different trucks to bring in copper, quartz, deuterium and coal. Yep. Alright, so this is the center base of the building, where it goes off to the 4 factories. Now this isn't complete. This is all going to get reworked and look neat, because the computer factory over here and the crystal oscillator factory over here, all they're doing is making 30 and 30 to feed into this factory over here, which is the radio control unit. You can see here the heat sinks that are arriving from that previous train station. They're also going into this factory, and 1 rubber line just to make those radio control units. Quite a complex component. What's happening just here with the crushing machine is just completely temporary setup. So I've finished the crystal oscillator factory and the motors and stators, but instead of just having it sit there do nothing, I may as well be crushing the items and getting some tickets, which is what's happening. And I got a splitter just catching a few of them in case I need it. But yeah, this is all completely temporary. So yeah, let's go and have a look at the crystal oscillator factory. Right. So 5 lines in, 2 quartz, 2 iron, 1 copper. And obviously the outline is for the crystal oscillators. 30 per minute. Right, so that's what it looks like from the center. It's looking pretty juicy. Yeah, and it's all completely symmetrical. Well, rotational symmetry, I guess. Just run through this quite quickly. The bottom line, sorry, the bottom floor has smelters doing copper and iron. Every floor has 5 manufacturers set up the same at the back of each floor. So there's 20 manufacturers in total. There was going to be 30, but I've used shards, so I didn't need 30 manufacturers making these crystal oscillators. And I've gone with this kind of style of setup here to feed them, which I've started doing, and it's I can't stop doing it because it just looks so neat and functional. So yep, again I'm using the original recipe because it's a bit it doesn't produce as many, but it doesn't use any oil, which is what I'm after. Now this factory, it was going to use 114 constructors, but what I've done is I've used shards, power shards, to bring the amount of constructors down. As you can see, a few of them are sharded. So I get the same amount of output, but I save space, because the biggest factor in these factories was the space needed. So they do, yeah, basically everything needed to run these 20 manufacturers that sit along the back. And they shoot off down one line and head off to the other factory. So yeah, that's this factory in a nutshell. Oh yeah, so each factory is actually set up exactly the same in structure inside. So these pillars and the centerpiece, and there's a little hypertube that goes up to the top to this little viewing platform here, so you can look out, and you can see just, which I'll go down to in a sec, the double floored truck station down there. Alright, so yeah, each factory exactly the same in structure. Just go across now to the motor and stator factory. Yeah, it's all temporary stuff just for building. There's my mate standing there. Another thing we did, which took quite some time, is we got every single hard drive in the game. So now when you chuck a hard drive in, it just says no more research and gives you your hard drive back. So I've got all the alternate recipes, until they obviously bring out more. So go up this one. This one actually only needs 3 lines in, 2 lines out, but I've put 6 there just for symmetry. And it's always good to have another line just in case I need to put something else into this factory. Alright, so as you can see, exactly the same setup as them all, and inside this one over here, which will be computers, and inside here, all the pillars and walls is already set up, ready to go. I just need to put the machines and the belts in and everything, but that takes quite some time. So we'll go up the top. I'll just start from the top in this one. Over to the viewing platform. And yeah, so this one was a whole bunch of assemblers. Heaps of assemblers making stators and rotors. So what I did for this one was I used the alternate recipe steel rotor. The main reason I did that is just so it uses pipes and wire, and so does the stator, uses pipes and wire. So basically this whole factory, it just needs pipes and wire, and it's good to go. So foundries on the, smelters on the bottom there. What do we got? Smelters on the bottom, iron on the left, copper on the right. Oops. And then we go up to the foundries. Now these foundries, what have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 12 foundries on the alternate recipe, or one of the alternate recipes, which is solid steel ingot, which is awesome because it uses the same materials, but it's just way more efficient. So I've got 12 of these. One of them's double sharded, so essentially I got 13 foundries on the alternate recipe, and that produces exactly 780 steel per minute, which is perfect for the Mark V belts here. What else was I going to show you? Yep. So my setup for the assemblers and manufacturers, I've been running with this belt setup here, with the conveyor lifts going straight in and the splitters just behind. And it looks pretty clean. Like, you look down it, looks nice and neat. And I just can't stop doing it. Pretty much every time I set up assemblers and manufacturers, I'll be using this setup now. And it can just go down as long as you want it to go. As you see with this one, they get fed from this side, and then they can just keep going. Actually, well, that's what's happening underneath. We'll go up. We got constructors here. Yeah, I've got a bit of a load balancer over here. Because I had to tap off some of my copper and wire for the stator setup, because one of the finished products is these stators here. So what I needed was a load balancing system here. It may look a little bit confusing, but this is what I needed. There's a bunch of splitters and mergers here before it sends the 4 main lines up for the final stage of production. Yeah. So this factory was pretty good because I had a fair bit of space left, so I could just be quite spacious with my lines and spread them out a bit. I still used a few shards here and there just to keep things even. But yeah, it ends up just 40 motors and 40 stators per minute. So these are the finished product, these are the motors. And yeah, same belt setup, which I reckon looks pretty neat. But yeah, that's me. My first 2 factories of this desert. I got another 2 factories to go, and it's looking pretty neat, I would say. Last thing I'll show is the truck setup, which I had a lot of help with my mate again. But I think that ended up looking pretty good too. So we ended up with, we started off with 3 trucks on this bottom floor. You'll see a truck station with 3 lines coming out of it, these 3. And then we had a bit of fun playing with the trucks, and they're pretty cool, so we decided to do the rest of the materials, which is 2 copper lines and a caterium line, with another 3 trucks. And we just chucked another floor on it, basically. And that's what they do. The trucks are off doing their business. Although, what is this guy doing? I'll sort him out later. But yeah, the system works. As you can see, all the lines are full. And the trucks are going off into the desert, doing their thing. And I'll just briefly show one last thing. This is the truck setup over here, the truck stations. So I basically got the main bus coming from the train station, and then the left and right I have belt buses, and then off to the north I'm using trucks. So this is pretty cool. Couple of copper pickups. The in port is here and the out is there. And my friend managed to squeeze the truck station in under the cave. So the third one, the trucks come in, they go under the cave there, and then come out the back there. It's pretty sweet. So yeah, this is still needs a bit of work. Still got to finish the other two factories, and I've still got to do a massive rubber plantation and an AI limiter factory somewhere else in a different biome. But yeah, that's the setup. We kind of wanted it to kind of take the theme of the desert, how it's got these, see these bits here that go up and loop around like this and stuff. It kind of matches that theme. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Catch you later.